Usman Raja is a cage fight coach. Today he's training a potential lightweight champion. But he's taken on another fight as well. Usman works with convicted terrorists both inside and outside of prison since he launched his Unity initiative in 2009. He has succeeded in de-radicalizing dozens of convicted terrorists and Islamist extremists. And some of that work was done inside the ring.
Well, this is it's fighting. This is, a lot of when you're in the prison environments that these guys are coming from, you're validating yourself in that arena with violence. We're talking about environments where people are being stabbed in the throat at Friday prayers. Literally, do you see what I mean? So when I've got these guys coming in here, I'm able to take that aggression and that survival instinct that they've cultivated in there and really strip it away, but also challenge their idea of themselves from a very healthy perspective.
But despite his success rate, the recent spate of terrorist attacks both in the UK and in Europe have put the spotlight back on radicalization in prisons. Most of the attackers had spent time there. Is radicalization on the rise in prisons? It's hard to know because we don't have any clear statistics. And what happens to these prisoners once they come out and try to reintegrate into society? It's estimated there are some 130 convicted terrorists in British prisons. But a growing number of individuals convicted of the Terrorism Act offences are back on the streets after serving their sentences. It's created a headache for British security agencies that more terrorist attacks could take place, such as the one at Westminster last March. At this mosque in East London, Usman works with community members on identifying and helping those they feel are vulnerable to extremist ideology. He also works with patrol officers, imams, and former prisoners he helped de-radicalize, such as Jordan Horner. Jordan was jailed twice for his role in a Muslim patrol which tried to enforce Sharia law on Londoners by shaming them in YouTube videos.
When you enter a prison system and you're already notorious for certain actions and certain situations, there was not that sense that I was vulnerable and people was trying to radicalize me. It was completely opposite. It was the sense that they was worried I was trying to radicalize other people. Hence, in my prison sentence, I was transferred numerous times, kept in segregation, kept moving wing, moving different parts of United Kingdom, finally ending up in Belmarsh, which was, high security prison. And to be honest, it only sort of cemented my ideology. It didn't change it,
Don't be allowing her to puke outside the mosque.
Jordan had converted to Islam when he was 16. But how to change an ideology that led him to join the Muslim patrol and film these videos which led to 2 prison convictions for assault and violence?
This is democracy. This is freedom. This is secularism. We clearly need Islam. Move away from the masjid.
Go away now. Don't come back.
But when he was released the first time, his probation officer suggested he contact Usman. Jordan says Usman taught him to embrace a more open-minded and tolerant interpretation of Islam. Usman also got him training in martial arts.
When I first embraced Islam, the first sense that I got was a sense of brotherhood, and certain individuals, they would exploit that. So they would exploit, politics, international politics, and they would use a religious tone around that sense to sort of engrave inside you this hatred for others. And it was once I had time to reflect and think and analyze what I had done, and with Usman, he brought narrative of put your family in them situations, and and as well from the religious tone as well, that does Islam justify that?
Yeah, the people that you see go and join ISIS, or the people that are going and that fall into extremism, are people that the concern that it starts with is a concern for their fellow man, but then when that concern is taken and put into a mould of hatred, that's where the problem comes in. When it comes to hatred and this idea of, well, if they've killed one of ours, then we can kill one of theirs. Then when you actually explain, well, actually, from a traditional Islamic point of view, that when you're dealing with humanity, if one part of it hurts, all of it hurts.
But when it comes to extremism, there's no gender barrier, and no one knows this better than Usman's wife, Angela. She works with convicted female terrorists both in and out of prison. Here she trains community members who will soon be working with released prisoners. She warns it takes time and patience, especially when some might be treated as heroes.
Remember, they might be going home and being celebrated.
A medical doctor with 4 children, Angela says what happened to her after the November 2015 Paris attacks is one of the reasons she continues her work with extremists.
I was walking through just a store with my 2 little girls at the time, and the French attacks had just happened, and my daughter, who's sort of 3 or 4 at the time, and this man walked past us and she said, hello. And he said, "Don't say hello to me, you Muslim scum." What did you just say? And he said, "I said, don't talk to me, you Muslim scum." And I was completely in shock, and he said, "Look at what your people have done in Paris." That reaction, that Islamophobic reaction, builds up the jihadist rhetoric. It builds up the Muslim extremist argument that, look, they are against you.
Although the overall number of Muslim extremists in the UK is small, its impact on Britain's Muslim population has been widely felt. How to stop the rise in Islamophobia, but also to de-radicalize and reintegrate extremists back into mainstream society is the main goal not only for Usman and Angela, but also for this man, Ashfaq Siddiq. A community volunteer, but also a law enforcement officer for over 30 years, Ashfaq worked, among other things, on a report aimed at tackling prison corruption by police and prison services in the UK. He warns that separation of prisoners is a growing danger.
You go into the prison system, you have gangs. You have the Muslim gangs, you have the Christian gangs, you have the, unless we can fight that battle and win in the prisons, you're going to get more and more and more of this. Because at the moment, all the Muslims end up in one area, including those who are in there for certain radicalisation offences and what have you. And some of these people who radicalise people are very charismatic people. Very clever, very sophisticated, very charismatic. They know what to say and what buttons to press in individuals who are already in a vulnerable position, who need some support, who need some protection, and who've got nothing else in life.
Winning the battle against extremism and radicalization. It's a fight Usman Raja has vowed to continue both inside and outside of the ring.